Welcome to Global World Watch. Please subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. December 3rd, 2025, a date that will be etched into the history books as the nation turns its attention to a pivotal moment. America holds its breath as the Supreme Court prepares to rule on a case that could fundamentally redefine the presidency and the limits of executive power. All eyes are on the 9 justices, 3 appointed by Trump himself, as they weigh a question with historic consequences. Is a president immune from criminal prosecution for actions taken while in office? The gravity of their deliberations is felt across the country as legal scholars, politicians, and everyday citizens await their verdict. The answer will set the boundaries of presidential power for generations to come, shaping the very framework of American government. This case isn't just about Donald Trump, it's about the future of American democracy, the rule of law, and the checks and balances that define the nation. Supporters see the case as a political witch hunt, a targeted attack on their leader and the movement he represents. Meanwhile, critics warn that granting immunity would turn the presidency into a monarchy, eroding the very foundations of accountability and justice. The nation is deeply divided, with passionate voices on both sides. The court's decision could trigger a political earthquake, sending shockwaves through every branch of government. The Supreme Court, meant to be above politics, now stands at the center of the storm, its impartiality and integrity under intense scrutiny. Their ruling will either reinforce the principle that no one is above the law, or set a precedent that could alter the balance of power forever. The decision could grant presidents unprecedented power, changing the office in ways never imagined by the founders. The stakes are enormous, not just for Trump, but for the country's very identity, its values, and its future as a democracy. The justices' decision will echo for decades, shaping what kind of nation America chooses to be, and how it confronts challenges to its constitutional order. The weight of this moment is immense, and the nation waits, holding its collective breath, for the ground to shift beneath its feet. At the heart of this historic case lies a fundamental question about presidential immunity, one that could reshape the very nature of American democracy. The issue is simple yet profound. Can a former president be prosecuted for actions taken while in office, or are they shielded from legal consequences for official acts? Trump's lawyers argue that without absolute immunity, every president would constantly fear prosecution after leaving office, making it impossible to lead decisively or make tough decisions in the national interest. They maintain that impeachment by Congress, not a criminal trial in the courts, is the only constitutional remedy for presidential misconduct, as designed by the framers. The opposing side, however, insists that the Constitution never intended to make the president a king, immune from the law. They warn that granting such sweeping immunity would allow presidents to commit crimes with impunity, undermining the essential system of checks and balances that protects American liberty. Legal scholars point out that while presidents do enjoy certain civil protections, there is no historical precedent for shielding criminal acts from prosecution, even for the nation's highest office. The Justice Department argues that the founders of the nation feared unchecked power above all else, and designed the Constitution to prevent any one person from being above the law. Allowing a president to act without consequence, they say, would destroy the very foundation of American democracy and erode public trust in government. Now the Supreme Court faces a momentous decision, choosing between 2 starkly different visions of presidential power and accountability. The outcome of this case will not only affect the current and future presidents, but will also define the limits and responsibilities of the office for generations to come. As the nation watches and waits, the future of American democracy, and the principle that no one is above the law, hangs in the balance. As the court deliberates, the nation holds its breath, waiting for a decision that could reshape the political landscape. Trump turns his legal battle into a political crusade, using every opportunity to rally his base and frame himself as a champion of the people. At rallies, he frames the case as a fight for his supporters, not just himself, insisting that their voices are under attack alongside his own. He claims the deep state is using the courts to silence millions of Americans, painting the legal proceedings as part of a broader conspiracy. On social media, he denounces the prosecution as a hoax and attacks the judiciary, fueling distrust in the system and encouraging his followers to question the legitimacy of the process. This strategy energizes his base, transforming legal peril into political strength and turning adversity into a rallying cry for his movement. Conservative media amplifies his message, reinforcing the narrative of persecution and ensuring his perspective dominates the airwaves. Trump's defiance is a powerful fundraising tool and keeps his supporters mobilized, drawing in millions of dollars and new volunteers eager to join the cause. But his attacks on the judiciary alarm moderates and risk eroding public trust in democratic institutions, raising fears about the long-term health of American democracy. By framing the case as a battle against corruption, he further polarizes the nation, deepening divisions and making compromise seem impossible. No matter the outcome, the decision will be seen through a partisan lens, with each side convinced of its own truth and justice. Trump's approach ensures the crisis will deepen, not resolve, America's political divide, setting the stage for even greater conflict in the months ahead. The stakes for the country grow higher with every word, as the future of democracy itself hangs in the balance. Inside Trump's circle, confidence and anxiety collide. Loyal advisors see his defiance as a winning strategy, pointing to strong polling and energized rallies. They believe projecting strength is essential and expect the conservative-leaning court to rule in his favor. Yet, some Republican strategists and legal experts worry his attacks on the judiciary could alienate independence and backfire with the justices. Critics, including respected conservative lawyers, warn that absolute immunity would undermine the rule of law and betray core American principles. Even some GOP lawmakers privately fear the long-term consequences of unchecked presidential power. The party is fractured. Some see Trump's approach as necessary, others as dangerous. Dissent grows louder, but many hesitate to speak out publicly. The debate reveals a deep rift over the future of the presidency and the party itself. The stakes are not just political, but constitutional. The outcome will shape the Republican Party and the nation for years to come. The Supreme Court's decision will have immediate, sweeping consequences. If Trump wins broad immunity, criminal cases against him could vanish, boosting his campaign and reshaping the election overnight. He'd claim vindication, while opponents would see proof of a rigged system. If the court rejects immunity, Trump could face trial while running for president, a first in American history. This would dominate headlines and test voters' willingness to support a candidate under indictment. Either outcome will deepen partisan divides and fuel narratives of injustice. The ruling will redefine the power of the presidency, either empowering future leaders or reaffirming legal accountability. The ripple effects will last far beyond this election. The decision will shape how presidents are held to account for generations. The nation's trust in its institutions is on the line. The stakes could not be higher. This case is a direct test of America's checks and balances. If the court grants absolute immunity, presidential power will surge, weakening Congress and the judiciary. A president could ignore laws or obstruct investigations, knowing they're shielded from prosecution. Congress's oversight role would be gutted, and federal agencies could become political tools. The public's trust in impartial justice would erode, as investigations appear tainted by politics. The framers designed the Constitution to prevent concentrated power. A ruling for broad immunity would challenge that design, tilting the balance toward the executive. The decision will redraw the map of power in Washington. The stakes are not just legal, they're about the survival of democratic norms. The court's ruling will test the resilience of American governance. The future of checks and balances hangs in the balance. Legal experts are split, reflecting two visions of the presidency. Some argue for a strong executive, warning that fear of prosecution would cripple presidential leadership. They say impeachment, not criminal trials, is the proper check on abuse. Others warn that absolute immunity risks authoritarianism, making the president untouchable. They argue the rule of law must apply to everyone, including the president. The framers feared kings, not weak presidents, and built a system of equal laws. While some immunity is necessary, it cannot shield criminal acts. The justice system can distinguish between policy and crime. This case is a test. Will America remain a nation of laws, or become a nation of men? The answer will define the presidency and the rule of law. The world is watching which vision prevails. On Capitol Hill, lawmakers brace for the Supreme Court's decision. Democrats warn that broad immunity would create an imperial presidency and vow to fight any abuses. Republicans mostly support Trump publicly, but some privately worry about the precedent for future presidents. The party is torn between loyalty to Trump and concerns about unchecked power. Congress is preparing for political fallout, no matter the outcome. A ruling for Trump could spark oversight battles, A ruling against him could trigger calls to defund the Justice Department. The decision won't end the conflict, it will open a new chapter. Quiet anxiety and urgent planning fill the halls of Congress. The struggle over power and accountability is far from over. Capitol Hill is poised to become the next battleground. The nation's political future is at stake. This Supreme Court decision is about more than Trump or the next election. It will define the relationship between every American and their government. The ruling will answer, does the law apply equally to all, or are the powerful exempt? Public trust in democracy hangs on this answer. A decision expanding presidential power could make government less accountable and more political. Upholding accountability would reinforce the idea that public service is a public trust. The principles at stake, equality, checks and balances, limits on power, are the pillars of American democracy. Every citizen must consider what kind of government they want. The court's decision will send a message about America's commitment to its founding ideals. This is a defining moment for the presidency, the balance of power, and justice for all. The stakes are not just political, they are personal, and they are permanent.